Thank you very much. In 5 minutes, I'm going to try and bring this together for you. I'm going to do it in 3 stanzas. What we've learnt, what we need from governments, and what we can do ourselves. So what have we learned? Strategy. The platform of the kingdom. They got a strategy. They've got a culture of execution. Strategy without execution, as somebody said, is like a dream. It's the same thing. Objectives without capacity is an unrealisable vision. So they got that. They've got the key enablers, geological data, pre-competitive, it's accessible, it's transparent, it's much more granular, it's much more interpretive, there's interpretive competency to go with it. They've got the policies, the regulatory framework for licensing, permitting, compliance. They've got the fiscal stability. They understand the risk-reward sharing in terms of there being a profits-based royalty, not just an ad valorem royalty, and they're not looking for windfall taxes to take the profits at times of excessive profits against what were the expenses in the first place. They understand property rights. They understand security of tenure. Somebody discovers something, they can hang on to it. They've built institutional capacity. And as was said, if you get institutional capacity, that becomes the glue, the attractiveness to investment, and it builds corporate memory. They've got a culture of innovation and invention. They understand collaborative, partnerships, convergence, building of centres of excellence. They understand the shift from individual accountability to collective responsibility and the building of that trust that goes with it. They understand building of hard and soft infrastructure. They've got deep water ports. They've got great roads, transport systems. They've got utilities, energy. They've got an energy comparative advantage that's the envy of the world, and they see themselves as the global safety net to the world. They're committed to sustainable development. They understand inclusive capitalism. They understand about bringing the communities into the regime. As Ratish Dhawan said, the number one requirement is profitability. My view is if you can't be in the pink social, you can't be in the green environmental if you're not in the black. And so sustainable development is more than just ESG. It's got the economic parameter in there as well. So they understand all of that. They've identified the market failures in terms of incentives. They're not incentives, they're actually measures to assist explorers become part of the equation. So they've got one-for-one drilling, one-for-one assays. They've addressed the capital requirements. We've heard time and again through this forum what's happening in capital and where that's a deficiency, and they've understood that. And they're providing a co-funding for 75% capital. So when you look at that, what can governments do? They can further streamline the regulatory procedures. As Mike Henry said, that's a cost. If you don't get that right, it becomes a dead weight cost. He was looking for performance standards, as everybody is, right across the industry and right across the jurisdictions that companies operate in. The Global Reporting Initiative and the mining sector supplement would be the first place I'd be going to look to get to that. They understand the economy-wide need for upskilling and education and bringing the social progressiveness that's inherent here in the kingdom into the way in which they are building their education platforms. We need to have the collaborative risk-reward sharing obvious in terms of the RD&E. Companies can't invest in basic and fundamental research to the extent that they can expect to get a return on that investment. So there has to be that collaboration and that convergence. And haven't they done that really well when it comes to those industrial hubs and those clusters we were talking about? Those of you familiar with Milton Friedman economics would see that as the epitome. So what can companies do? Become systems thinkers. You've got to go past the narrow feats of engineering and discovery to include the sciences of humanity and ecology so that you become a systems thinker, which means companies need to get their systems better. We talk about integration within companies. And yet, what is the major characteristic of most mining houses? They operate in silos. Look at how they've adopted digital, not digitalisation, because it all has to be integrated and connected. So companies need to be into that space. Collaboration, convergence, absolutely critical internally as well as across industries. Embrace transparency and traceability. There's nothing new. Kimberley Diamond Process, No Dirty Gold campaign, Forest Stewardship Council, Marine Stewardship Council. This whole idea of certification is not new. Go for it. Introducing to that the circular economy, the whole concept of material stewardship that we were talking about long time ago, that becomes part of the equation. Introduce into that what somebody said, turn your liabilities into assets, the waste management, the tailings, the legacy sites. They could all become value add in the process. Add people skills. One of the great deficiencies in corporates is they don't understand people. Why would they? They're geologists, they're engineers, they're logical, linear, rational thinkers. They get lost in the logic of their own arguments. You need to look at the market through the market's eyes and build empathy to your competence and your capability. So that's what companies need to be doing. They need to add people skills, they need to get their attitudes to innovation sorted out, and they need to build the culture of cooperation and consideration. The last one is energy transition. Don't let ambition and ideology get ahead of capacity. Make sure it's measured, make sure it's sustainable, make sure it's real. That way, you've got a chance of actually letting the market sort out what we've been talking about. Because those demand curves, they're inconceivable. But they'll only be inconceivable if the market can't clear, and the capital markets, they need to build competency and capability within their institutions if they are going to service us. And that means that they need to start treating us as something more than apartheid capital. Thank you very much. It's been a great time. I've learned an awful lot, and I can only wish you all very much the best.